Greetings everybody, Redbeard here for the August 10th, 2016 edition of the Midweek Update. You might be wondering, what does Crystal Pepsi have to do with professional wrestling? Well, for the most part, it's just something that people remember more fondly when it existed back in the early 90s. Number 5 story of the week is that there's a match set for WrestleMania 33 already, and it involves two guys that you may or may not even be interested in seeing in a match. This is a story we've been sitting on for a couple of weeks now because of the fact that it happened to be a confrontation that evolved at the ESPYs this year between none other than Big Show and Shaquille O'Neal. This was a match that kind of sort of got off the ground last year at WrestleMania, and it's going to come to a head at WrestleMania next year. The two, as I mentioned, at the ESPYs did have a confrontation where Big Show more or less challenged Shaquille O'Neal on the spot to a match at WrestleMania 33. Of course, it's one of those things where Shaquille had to kind of hem and haw around about not being able to give him a firm, clear answer at that point in time. Shaquille, of course, is a very savvy businessman. He knew not to go ahead and say yes until he had everything cleared in terms of the contractual obligations that would be involved and all kinds of opportunities for promotion that will likely be part of this whole deal here. But it's apparently now been signed because Shaquille has responded. He has said, let's do it. This is on. We're going to have a fight. It's going to definitely be an attraction, I will say. I'm not sure that this will be a wrestling clinic or a classic by any stretch of the imagination, but it's one of those things where, from a standpoint of these two men who are literal behemoths, it's a physical attraction for sure, and to see them go at one another will certainly be a unique thing. So it's something to look forward to, something that will be kind of cheeky and a fun little addition to the card there, because there's a lot of things that they could do to incorporate the feud going up into this match. A lot of things that could be done, promotionally wise, and just the fact that you got these two guys who are larger than life. They're definitely going to come up with something that's really entertaining and really fun. It's just kind of one of these deals where you have almost a year to look forward to this thing, because this is the state of the business now as it relates to WrestleMania booking. It's such a long-range event, but it literally begins as soon as the previous edition ends in terms of the plans for the next program. But yeah, something to look forward to already. WrestleMania 33, coming to you live from Orlando, Florida. Number 4 story of the week is that Rhino is running for office. Yes, Rhino, the guy that had his run initially there in ECW and came up through WWE and has returned to the company now and is appearing not only on NXT but also on the main roster. This is a crazy story, but it's an example of how someone with a passion for civics and for being involved in public service has every opportunity to participate therein. Rhino's real name is Terrence Guerin. It's a little bit of an odd name for someone who calls himself Rhino, but it's one of those things where being in wrestling gives you an opportunity to leave your own identity behind. But be that as it may, he was running on the Republican Party ticket for a House of Representatives seat in the House of Representatives there in Michigan, his home state, and he won by, I think, a margin of 56 or so votes over his competition. So he is going to be on the ballot in November, and the odd thing, even more so in terms of the names, as I mentioned there, is that his rival, his opponent, whatever you want to call him, on the Democratic side is none other than Abdullah. No, not Abdullah the Butcher. The person's name is Abdullah Hamoud. So it's just kind of weird the fact that you had a couple of wrestling references there built in, because of course everybody knows Abdullah the Butcher for all the things that he's done in his wrestling career. But very cool to see this not only be an opportunity for Rhino, but to be something that Vince McMahon gave his blessing to. Of course, anybody who's under a WWE contract can't blow their nose seemingly without getting the okay from the boss there, and he did. He got his blessing, and it's one of those scenarios where it wouldn't have probably gone forward if not for the fact that it's known that Rhino is a stand-up guy, locker room leader, the whole 9 yards as far as being a type of individual that you could see through in something like this and it not wind up being an embarrassment. So kudos to him for trying, kudos to him for pushing through, getting a successful campaign run there, and who knows, we may see this guy get an opportunity to serve there in the House of Representatives in Michigan. He has said in an interview that he does plan, if he wins, to continue wrestling in a full schedule and also do his duty to the House of Representatives there in Michigan. So we'll have to see how it works out for him. But definitely congratulations to him for that win and for being a good public servant, trying his best to bring change to the people of Michigan. Number 3 story of the week is that Ryback, Lillian Garcia, and Joey Styles are all gone from WWE. This is a combination of stories here that we have been following for a number of weeks here now. Some of it happened recently, some of it has happened very recently. As a matter of fact, this has been the case with the revelation of Joey Styles and also Ryback being gone from the company. We'll start with Lillian Garcia because of the fact that hers definitely seems to be the more noble of the 3 in terms of departure reasons. She has an ailing parent. Her father is dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and she has decided to take time away from the company in order to help care for him, and that is a completely noble gesture. You, I think, would have a very hard time finding many people who could say something negative about Lillian, period. But definitely now that she is going to take this step to try and provide aid to a parent, someone she obviously loves and cares for, it's a great thing. More power to her for doing that. She is, of course, a person who has ties to South Carolina for having been a military child who was around a lot of the country, but does have close ties to South Carolina. So definitely wish her and her father the best as they continue to force their way through this. With Ryback, it seems as though this is something that's been going on for a while, as we mentioned. This is a culmination, we'll say, of a contract dispute to where it essentially wound up being that both sides could not come to a deal, and they decided to split their ways, or to go their separate ways, as I should say. Probably for the best for both of them because of the fact that Ryback seemed to be at a point where he wanted and expected more from the company. Thought maybe he might have been a bigger star than he actually is, some people would say. But at the same time, it's an opportunity for him to go out and do something different other than just being Ryback. To me, he's always been the type that he really needed a mask and a manager. I think if you put him under a hood and give him some type of a carnival barker mouthpiece, he could have been really scary. But as is, with the Ryback persona, I think he had probably done all he was going to do. Of course, he'll always be the corn-fed meathead in a lot of people's minds there as well. But he does have a number of independent dates already lined up. He's got a 90-day non-compete clause, of course, like anybody who leaves the company. But he does have some independent dates lined up in the Northeast. And will also, it's just been announced, will be appearing at WrestleCade up in Winston-Salem later this year, around November. What kind of attention he'll get, who knows, but since he is coming off of a WWE run, you would definitely expect him to be a hot ticket up there. So if you're interested in seeing Ryback, check out WrestleCade.com for more information on how you can get your tickets and also be a part of whatever meet and greets he might be involved with. And then with Joey Styles, very interesting topic because of the fact that Joey has never really been bashful about voicing his opinion, but it does seem that maybe some things that he said here recently about Roman Reigns and Vince McMahon have led to him being let go. Joey had been with the company for close to 11 years. He had been with them since 2005. Of course, he had been an on-air personality for a couple of years there with the ECW transition from being just its own product to being WWE ECW. But it appeared as though he had been somewhat content in the role he had adapted as being a member of the digital world and presenting WWE's online and web-based products. He had been, I believe, elevated to a vice president status when it came to their digital media division. But he's never been bashful, as we said here before, about expressing himself. And here recently he had said something to the effect that the reason why Roman Reigns was continuing to receive a push was because of the fact that McMahon felt that it was good for business, seeing as how women and children liked him. That's kind of a no-duh comment there, in my opinion, but at the same time, you have certain egos that don't like to be pushed around in this company, so that could have been part of it. It could have been something else entirely, but the timing there definitely seems to be suspect. So it is what it is. Joey's out on his own now, can do whatever he wants to. I don't know that you will ever see him returning to commentary necessarily, not in the current landscape anyway. I wouldn't expect him to wind up in TNA or anything like that. But he definitely, I would say, is going to be one that you'll likely see around some of the convention circuit. So much like Ryback, you never know. He could wind up at WrestleCade, could wind up somewhere else. But yeah, Lillian Garcia, Ryback, and Joey Styles, all gone from WWE. Number 2 story of the week is that Daniel Bryan has revealed there will be brand-specific titles to SmackDown. New titles at that. This is a evolving story, something that we've been following as it continues to grow and change almost by the day. Of course, we're in a landscape now where things are still settling post-WWE brand split, where you've got SmackDown and Raw existing as 2 individual characters here. It appears as though at this point in time that the WWE World Championship will be representative of SmackDown, and then you have the WWE Universal Championship, crazy as though that name does sound, will be representative of Raw. Likewise, you've got the Women's Championship that's on Raw, the United States Championship that's on Raw, and then SmackDown kind of has the Intercontinental title and not a whole lot else. Tag team division, of course, is also on Raw. This is kind of frustrating because of the fact that you're going to get something that winds up being very muddy, I believe, in that you're going to have a ton of titles. People are probably going to get confused, especially when you have the WWE Tag Team Championship of SmackDown, the Tag Team Championship of Raw. And likewise with the women's division. The Intercontinental and U.S. titles, I hope will stay as they are, but you're definitely going to wind up with a situation to where this creates, of course, a lot of merchandising opportunities, because suddenly, as opposed to 5 or 6 belts that'll be on the toy aisle, you'll have 10 or 12. It's just going to wind up being kind of a chaotic scene there, probably, if they begin merchandising all of these things. But it definitely is going to muddy the waters, I believe. It may help in terms of continuing to differentiate one brand versus another, and this, of course, will lead to some potential feuds down the road of the Raw brand versus the SmackDown brand, as of course that will be a part of the pay-per-view model going forward here as well. But yeah, it's just going to be kind of weird to get used to having all these belts around. And hopefully there's some differentiation in terms of style of these belts, and that's something that we wanted to talk briefly about in bringing up the story as well, as there's been a rumor that's been passed around certain online discussion groups of the designs that are coming down the pipe for the Universal and World Championships. Evidently, if this individual who's reported to be somewhat knowledgeable in regard to the design of belts and whatnot, the designs are going to be essentially the same as they are now. You're going to have 2 belts that look identical. The difference is going to be that the Raw brand belt has a red background, and the SmackDown brand belt has, you guessed it, a blue background. I kind of like that, I kind of don't. Here again, I like to see something that could be, indicative of a Universal Championship or indicative of a World Championship. Definitely something that could be unique. The color change, you've got almost WWE red, WWE blue. It is what it is, though. So we'll have to see what comes down the pipe as far as the belt designs themselves are concerned. But yeah, definitely seems as though we're going to be seeing a lot more belts in the very near future as it relates to WWE's product. And the number 1 story of the week is Conor McGregor has pissed off everyone in the pro wrestling world. This is a story that has really caught legs of its own because of the fact that it has involved so many people. Conor McGregor, as you may know, is a UFC fighter. He is very well known for his ability to run his mouth and to get people riled up, which is, of course, to his benefit when it comes to being a fighter, as these guys are entertainers in addition to athletes in combat sports. So I'm just going to go ahead and read you his comment and what has gotten so many people in the wrestling industry fired up. He was asked during an interview for his thoughts on cross-promotion between WWE and UFC, which of course was what happened here recently with UFC 200, with Brock Lesnar coming over and having the fight there for that particular event. Part of his response was, for the most part, those WWE guys are blank. Let your mind wander. They're messed up blank, if you ask me. The blank in that term, or in that particular space, would be synonymous with something that is, not very masculine, put it that way. Trying to keep the show as PG as possible as we can here. But he was also asked about Lesnar, and he said in his win at UFC 200 was tainted. Here again, quoting Conor McGregor, I mean, fair play to Brock. He got in and fought at UFC 200, but at the end of the day, he's juiced up to the eyeballs, so how can I respect that? Eesh. Juiced up to the eyeballs. It may be, never know. Actually, we do kind of know because the tests have sort of confirmed that, but at any rate, Conor more or less went on to say a few other things there about wrestlers and how the not only people involved in that sport, but also the fans, kind of take it. And of course, everybody from Y2J to Kevin Owens to Ric Flair chimed in talking about how they'd love to get their hands on Conor McGregor. It's one of those deals to where you want to almost say this is too good to be true in terms of promotional opportunities, because of course this has lit up Twitter, and you've got now UFC guys and WWE guys, MMA guys and pro wrestling guys going back and forth, and it just puts a whole lot more eyes on both entities. Smart business. You get a guy to run his mouth, the media's going to pick up on it, and then 10 minutes later Twitter's on fire. It is what it is. But I just thought it was very funny to see that this got so much attention this week. A guy who has, let's say, a good amount of talent when it comes to being a mixed martial arts fighter, but is definitely probably going to be, I'd say, more well known for running his mouth. And at the end of the day, is that such a bad thing? No, because guess what? He's the one who goes home and sits on a stack of $100 bills. So it is what it is. But we're getting towards the point of the program where we like to talk about what's coming up this weekend. And we've got a lot coming up this weekend. Got a lot going on. There's about 11 or 12 shows. I think we've got 11 posters in this coming lineup here. There may be 12 or so that we're probably going to be looking at here. If you don't see your poster in this lineup, they're probably going to be on the Facebook page. There's some that we've been made aware of here kind of late in the filming stages of this program this week. So definitely look out on the Facebook page for Rasslin with Redbeard and check out the upcoming flyers, the upcoming event flyers album for the month of August 2016. They'll all be in there. But with that being said, let's go ahead and roll those posters, get you caught up on what's coming this weekend. Be back in a few minutes to wrap up the show. There you have it, our rundown of the events that are coming your way this weekend. If you are a wrestler, a promoter, or in some way involved with the wrestling promotion, and you didn't see your poster in that part of the show, it's because we didn't know about it. We do a bit of research online with social media to try and stay abreast of what's happening in this part of the world, but we do miss things. That said, if you would like your poster to be involved in our show and also post it on the Facebook page, we'd love to have it on here, but we need you to send it to us. Contact us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, email, whole 9 yards. It's all out there for you to get a hold of us here at Rasslin with Redbeard. We would love to have it out there because of the fact that a big part of what we do is promoting the local shows and local talent that exists in this part of the world. Appreciate you guys tuning in this week. We are hopefully going to be able to record a new edition of the Rasslin with Redbeard main show in the next few days. And I'll give you a hint. It's at a promotion we've never visited with before. It is not a promotion that is in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia. What does that mean? It means a road trip for old Redbeard. And you know how that can sometimes go, as if you did not already know by the fact that we had a little bit of an incident in the last edition of the Rasslin with Redbeard main show. So hopefully that won't happen again, but hopefully, here again I say hopefully, we'll be able to give you a fresh experience there with the new Rasslin with Redbeard main show coming soon. We'll have further update on that as time allows. But do appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoy the show, go ahead and click that like button. If you really enjoy what we've got on the channel here, go ahead and click subscribe. That way you'll be the first to get notification that we have uploaded something new to the channel, either in the form of a midweek update, a Rasslin Redbeard main show, or another match video. Got some cool matches out there from the recent Old School Championship Wrestling event that we attended, so go ahead and check those out, please. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you next week.